Welcome everyone. I just want to let you know we're just waiting a couple minutes until we can see that everyone has joined. We're just waiting for a few more people, so we'll be starting in just a couple of minutes. All right, we'll get started. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us tonight for our kindergarten information session for parents. We've got a few people on tonight and we'll all be sharing the love of presenting. So there's myself, I am Mrs. Dempsey, the Deputy Principal. We also have Miss Krilich, she is the Assistant Principal for K-2, and Mrs. Butler will be joining us shortly as well, and she's the Principal. If you have not already met some of us, we will hopefully meet you in the coming weeks when you come on site for orientation, or early next year when we start our first day at school. So I'd just like to start off by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands. They hold the memories, the traditions, and the customs of Indigenous people, in Australia. And we would like to extend that acknowledgement to any Indigenous people that we have here with us tonight. For all of us, we are coming to you from Dharawal land. We acknowledge that this land has and always will be their land. So tonight, some things that we're going to cover, just a brief agenda for you. We're going to look at starting school, the first day of kindergarten in 2022, arrival and dismissal, uniforms, before and after school care, canteen, best start assessment, school structures, our school learning hubs, the library, sport, the playground, a program that we have that's called Link Ed Hero, and staying connected. So starting school. So just some things about before your first day of school. It would be great if you could ensure your enrolment is completed, and we've sent you information via email about that happening when you come on site for kindergarten orientation in the next 2 weeks. And that includes information about any medical conditions such as asthma or allergy. It includes your proof of address or residence, which you can bring along a bill or a council rate, insurance papers, anything like that that has your address. A license is not something that counts as proof of an address though, because you can just change that independently on with the RMS with Service New South Wales. So it needs to be a bill or something similar like that that comes to your place of residence. And we'd also like for you to bring along your child's birth certificate or passport, their immunisation records, so that we can see those originals or copy them if they weren't included in your original application. So if you're coming along to kindergarten orientation for the next 2 weeks and you bring all of that documentation with you, our office staff will be coming to speak to you and doing any of the copying and checking that we need to do whilst your children are off in the classroom with the teachers, which means that hopefully by those 2 weeks, your enrolment will be completely done and you will not have to worry about anything further around that until next year when the kids start. Another really important thing is to order and purchase your uniform. So you can do that by going to our school website, just Googling Denham Court Public School and clicking on the uniform tile, and it will take you directly to our uniform provider, Pickles. And that would, you need to make sure that you include a school hat in your purchase as probably one of the main priorities as in your uniform purchase. The obvious things that you probably already have or are thinking about maybe for presents over the holidays is things like lunchbox, drink bottle, and a backpack. Backpack does not need to be the school backpack. It can be any backpack that you would like to send your child to school with. If you prefer the school backpack, that's also great. Please make sure you label all of your belongings so that if anything gets lost, we can make sure it's returned back to you and your child. Particularly things like school hats, they all look exactly the same. So if it's not labeled, we don't know who it belongs to and it just goes into a lost property. And potentially there's the risk of someone taking home your brand new hat that you've just purchased. They cost a lot of money, so just label all of your child's belongings. Read the Welcome to Kindergarten with your child to help familiarise and prepare them for starting school. So this is something we'll give you a link to when you come for kindergarten orientation, or you can Google it yourself and you will also be able to find it. It's a department resource that is available to everyone to access. And read Daisy's First Day. Again, this is something we'll give you a link to when you come into school for orientation. But you can also, when you find that website from the department about Welcome to Kindergarten, you will be able to access that Daisy's First Day. And just talks all about starting big school. The first day of kindergarten in 2022. So just to make sure you're all aware, some people have already had a phone call from a member of our team. And if not, we are in the process of calling all of our families to have like a conversation over the phone about the enrollment process and answer any of your questions that you might have. But just so you know, a letter will be posted to you in the mail before the end of the school term this year, and we will let you know the date for your child to start. We do have a lot of kindergarten children starting, so we are staggering their arrival, so they are not all arriving on the very first day. So in that letter that will come to your address provided in your enrollment documentation, you will see, you will have a date that your child needs to attend school for the very first day. And it will also have information about what time to drop off and pick up as well. So all of our children, even with that staggered approach, all of the children in kindergarten will be at school within the first 2 weeks of the term. So by February 11, every kindergarten child will be at school.
Hi everyone, my name's Ashlyn Krilich and I'm Assistant Principal, and I'll be working closely with kindergarten along with Mrs. Dempsey as well. I was just going to mention our arrival and dismissal. So at Denham Court Public School on a regular day, regular time of the year for our years 1 to 6 students next year, they will start school at 9:10 a.m. and finish at 3:10 p.m. But as we know that in the first few weeks of kindergarten, it's a real huge transition, and we also have quite a large volume of kindergarten students starting with us in 2022. We are actually going to just alter our start and finish time slightly. So we'll be starting at 9:30 a.m. and finishing at 2:45 p.m. So that will mean that by 9:30, the rest of the school will be in classrooms, off the playground, meaning that our little people won't feel so overwhelmed as they walk in the gate. And also at home time, it will also mean they'll finish just before years 1 to 6, just to allow them to, I suppose, move out of the way. So there is space for us to find all of our little people, because it can be quite mayhem in the first couple of weeks. So, but we'll only be doing that until March the 4th. So that's about week 5 of school. Now, if your students go to before school care or after school care, there will be supervision and we will be there. So it's not like, they'll just be left out on their own on the playground. We'll have arrangements for those students as well, because obviously after school care doesn't start until 3:10, and at about 8:40 before school care transitions those students over into the teacher's duty of care. So obviously arriving a little bit closer to 9:30 just will mean that there won't be as many crowds and people around to make it as smooth as transition as possible.
Onto uniforms. As I said already, if you Google Denham Court Public School, you can go onto our website and there is a link directly to the Pickles page for uniform. If not, you can Google Pickles uniforms and also go through the images there that you can see, where you would select our school, Denham Court Public School, and then you would click on the shop now, or you might like to have a look at the size guide so that you can decide what sizing you need. Once you get onto their website, it's relatively easy. It's pretty much like online shopping. You select the size that you need and the particular item that you're looking for and add it to your bag or your cart. Pretty straightforward. So at the moment, just so you're aware, because of COVID restrictions, there is no ability to try on uniforms at the school. We're hoping in the not too distant future that will be a thing, but just at present, the company aren't able to clean uniforms in between children trying them on, and with the restrictions that doesn't really fit. So for now, they're happily accepting refunds and exchanges if they don't fit, even if they have been tried on at home. They are looking after all of our families. So please don't stress about potentially if the sizing is, accurate, or if it runs small or it runs big. Feel free to know and confident to know that they will happily exchange your uniform. And if there was an exchange happening and that happened at the start of the year and your child didn't have their school uniform, that's okay. We're at the moment going through the exact same thing with all of our other children, that some have uniforms, some still have it on order, and some have just ordered it and it hasn't arrived yet. So rest assured, just send them in some, plain colored clothing, not their favorite dress that they love to wear to parties, but some nice plain clothing, like one colored shirt and one colored pants, so that they can sort of fit in within the school crowd. We wear grey, predominantly it's a grey or a charcoal, and you can also see in our school shirt down here, we've got our colors of lime green and blue as well. So uniform is fairly easy. You can just jump onto either the Pickles Schoolwear uniform website, or go onto Denham Court Public Schools page and order your uniform from there. If you would like to have it delivered to the school, you can do so for free at no cost, and Pickles will send you a text message to let you know that it has arrived and you can come up and collect it. Or if you prefer, you can have it shipped to your house for a small fee for the delivery or courier, the cost of a courier to deliver it to your house. Just one thing to be mindful around uniform is the fact that the school will close over the Christmas break, and so in terms of delivery to the school, that won't be an option beyond December 17th, as we will not be there. So your uniform will be there potentially waiting for the very first day, but if you are wanting to use that option, it might be a better option to kind of hop on and order your uniform now rather than waiting.
Mrs. Dempsey, sorry, I just wanted to pop in with something, because I know we get asked this question a lot. We get asked a lot, what uniform should we buy? And I suppose the bottom line is we have a large selection of uniforms that you can choose from. If we've got polos, we've got dresses, we've got skirts, but all that we ask is that students have a sports uniform, so a sports polo and skirt or shorts, and I suppose they're everyday uniform for the other days, and that includes a school hat as well. Because I know we do get asked that quite a lot, which ones should we buy? So there is a large range for you to pick from, and that's totally up to you what you buy now or what you might buy later in the year. But just keep in mind, obviously, the seasons as well.
Good point. And I think it's also important to add in terms of shoes, because we get asked question a lot about shoes. Joggers on sport day, they do not need to be a particular color. They can be any color. And if you are able to, some black school shoes on the other days would be great. But any shoes that are closed in, are safe to be at school, are acceptable. So that's just the information we just talked about in terms of your delivery that you can have. And then if you have any issues around the sizing, you can just contact Pickles directly and they will organise that exchange or refund for you. All right, so on to before and after school care. So we have before and after school care available at our school, in our school hall, and the company provider for that is called Whoosh Care. If you are someone who might need after school care or before school care, I would highly recommend that you get in contact with Whoosh Care as soon as you can. A lot of our families are working families and they will require before and after school care. So it would be in your best interest to contact them sooner rather than later so that you can ensure your placement on the days that you need it for your child. So they're in our school hall and they are there from 6:30 in the mornings until 6:30 in the evenings, with the closing of them in the middle of the day whilst the school day operates as normal. And they're also offering care on some of the school holidays and also on staff development days when it is pupil free for school days. So that's something that if you are a working parent and you need some care on those particular days, they do provide that. So if you want to get any information about Whoosh Care, you can again go to Denham Court Public Schools website and have a look at their before and after school care tab. It will give you their information to directly contact them.
So with our canteen, we are very lucky that we have Fresh Start canteens working from our canteen. So Fresh Start canteens is a great service, and what makes it even better is that to order lunch orders now, we no longer have to do them over the counter with paper bags or envelopes and money. You can actually visit www.quickclick.com.au, and here you can set up an online wallet and place all food orders via online. So that means that the kids don't need to take money at the moment. With our restrictions, they're not doing over the counter service, but obviously, hopefully when life returns back to normal, students will still be able to bring gold coins and buy other snacks and treats. But for lunch orders, I would say that this is one of the most efficient ways to put in a lunch order to make sure it gets in on time and it gets to them and it's exactly what you want as well. Now, there is an extensive menu with Fresh Start Canteen. So you can see here, there's a large range of snacks. There's wraps and salads, there's hot meal options. They also cater to a large range of dietary needs, so vegetarian, halal, gluten-free. Obviously, if you have specific questions about things, you are able to go to the Fresh Start Canteen's website and lodge an inquiry and ask, and they'll be able to give you a little bit more information. Now, this menu, obviously there's a copy up here on the screen today, but you can access that on our Denham Court Public School website as well. So that will be there as well. And so is the information to access the online ordering of lunch orders. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about Best Start Assessment. So the Best Start Assessment, you might have heard about this previously, but this is a kindergarten assessment that's designed to identify each student's literacy and numeracy skills. Now, it's not a test for our students. There's nothing to study for. There's no learning you need to do at home before this. All they simply need to do is meet with the teacher, the student, and they'll answer some questions in literacy and numeracy, and this will help the teacher design where to best start their learning journey from. And then they'll also be able to give you, the parents and carers, some feedback about where they're at when they start kindergarten. We just have now a quick little video about the Best Start assessment that kind of will unpack it a little bit more. Again, this is just a department resource. So if you do want to watch it again later, you can find this through the Department of Education's web pages as well.
Sorry, we're just being told there's no sound. So I'm just working on that now and I'll start it again. There's lots of sound on my end, but now there should be sound on yours.
What is the Best Start Kindergarten Assessment? The Best Start Kindergarten Assessment is a statewide assessment that helps teachers identify the literacy and numeracy skills which your child brings with them at the beginning of kindergarten. The Best Start Kindergarten Assessment has been conducted in New South Wales public schools since 2010 and helps teachers understand a student's literacy and numeracy knowledge upon entry to school. The assessment does not require students to prepare or study, so don't be concerned if your child can't answer all the questions. The Best Start Kindergarten Assessment provides teachers with information so they can plan effective teaching and learning programs. The assessment takes about 20 minutes each for the literacy and numeracy parts. Teachers usually conduct the literacy and numeracy components separately. The assessment is conducted one-on-one by your child's classroom teacher, who will make sure that your child feels at ease and is comfortable. The literacy tasks are designed to identify a range of skills, such as word, sound and letter recognition, early writing abilities, and ability to retell storylines from books that are read to them. The numeracy tasks are related to early number concepts. They identify a range of skills such as number recognition, counting, early addition and subtraction skills, and ability to recognise repeating patterns. All of these are important literacy and numeracy skills that students will develop in their first year of school and beyond. Teachers may organise a follow-up meeting with you as the parent or caregiver, with information about the skills your child demonstrated during the assessment and ideas about how you can support your child during the first year at school. For ways to engage your child in literacy and numeracy at home, please visit the Department of Education's website, education.nsw.gov.au.
So just like the video just said, it's not a test, there's nothing to study for. It's just simply a way to understand best where to start their learning journey from, and also
the government.
How we can all support our little people who are starting school. There might be a follow-up meeting, or there'll definitely be a letter that will go home that will outline the ideas of how we can best continue to support their learning in their journey. I just had here a few little questions that, possibly they might get asked, because I know I get asked a lot, like what kinds of questions are we going to ask? So a simple literacy one will be that the teacher will read a story and they will ask some questions to the student about maybe sequencing some events in the story or some things that might have happened. But even as simple as like, who's their favorite character in the story, and trying to encourage and engage in some conversation. It's also, even though with the Best Start assessment, we're obviously gathering information as a teacher, but it's a way for us to begin to develop a relationship, because it is a one-on-one situation, and actually sit down one-on-one and have a good conversation with our students. So some of the numeracy questions they might get asked is, the teacher might say, can you start counting from 0 and just see how far that they can count? Or they might say, oh, could you start at the number 12 and count on? Or even more, they might show some dot patterns and just see how quickly the students might be able to, when flashed a dot card with one dot, actually recognize it's one. So they're as simple as that. Again, no studying required, just lots of positive talk about it. And it's just a great way for us, not just teachers, but as a whole community, to support our learners at the beginning of their journey.
Hello, everyone, and I apologise for my tardiness tonight. I had some technical difficulties and I'm just joining in now thanks to the support of my technical team behind me. So my name's Anna, I'm the principal, and I'm really looking forward to working with your kids next year. My little part here is to talk about the structures, the school structures. So in New South Wales primary schools, the curriculum is taught in 4 stages. Our first stage is called early stage 1, and that's kindergarten. So that's your children. Then we move into stage 1, which the next 3 stages go across a 2-year span. So stage 1 includes years 1 and 2, stage 2, years 3 and 4, and stage 3, years 5 and 6. And kids can work within each stage. That's where the curriculum lies, but also if they need to, they can work above and below those stages, depending on their individual needs. So that's our 4 stages of curriculum. We also have lots of curriculum documents that we need to use as part of the planning and programming in terms of teaching and learning. So we have an English curriculum, mathematics, science and technology, history, geography, personal development, health and physical education, which includes things like learning how to be safe, learning how to be healthy, learning how to eat well, and then all the physical activity and sport that goes with that. And then the last one is creative arts, which includes all of the things like dance and movement and music and drama. Those things fall into, and visual arts, and they fall into the creative arts syllabus. So it's mandatory for us to teach all of these things. And so your child over their year will be exposed to the curriculum that's appropriate for early stage 1 in all of those key learning areas.
So on to our learning hubs. So our school has been designed different to a traditional school. Our school has been designed with what we call learning hubs rather than a classroom. In terms of what does that mean? It means that our space has been built and designed for the modern day learners at school. We are preparing all of our children ready for what lies beyond the school life and when they're into the workforce in many years to come. So our learning hubs have been designed to promote collaboration between students as well as between our teachers as well, so that we can share our expertise in particular fields and areas that we have strengths in. And also allowed us to group students very flexibly around the different things that we need to group them, whether it be their ability or their interest areas. We have the flexibility to do that, having multiple teachers within the one space. Within that space, we still follow all of the departmental guidelines around teacher to student ratios. So in kindergarten, that's approximately 20 students per teacher. So there will be 1 teacher for every 20 students within our kindergarten hubs. And within this space that you can see, it's a very large space. And if you drive past our school, it is the length of pretty much every building that you can see is 1 learning hub. And in that space, there will be 4 kindergarten classes. So that means up to 80 children and 4 teachers. So there are some photos there so you can see, have a little look at what it looks like. You can see that there are some withdrawal spaces or some smaller spaces where if we need to, we can take the children into smaller groups and be away from the larger group, or we can have them all together in the one open plan space. So we've got a practical activities area, which has like a lino floor where we can do things like art and craft in that space. And we also have a presentation area, which has got like some tiered seating so that we can have large groups of children in there and they're still able to see everything that's going on within the classroom. And then a nice open space between those 2 areas. Within all of our classrooms, we've got as much technology as we can possibly get our hands on. So each classroom has 4 interactive whiteboards. We also have iPad devices within each hub. And we have Chromebooks accessible that are shared amongst the entire school, the Chromebooks, as they're a little bit more technical. So lots of technology to help engage our learners through their learning process and journey at school. So in those spaces, we're looking at using a process called David Thornburg's learning spaces. And that's where we can use a variety of different methods to group our students and use different spaces in a different manner according to whatever it is that we are delivering in our lesson. So we have spaces like the campfire, where we'll all gather to learn together from an expert. The watering hole, which is a more informal space where peers can share information and discoveries. The cave, which is more of a private space where children might want to work individually on their own or have some time to think and reflect about their learning. And then the other two are the life, which is a space to apply knowledge in the real world, which we try to do with all of our lessons so that the children know what they're learning has a purpose. And the mountaintop is where one person or a group can communicate towards the rest of the world using what they have learned. Library. So onto the library. Our library space is a beautiful space that has again been designed with lots of flexible furniture, just like in our learning hubs. So everything is movable and we can change the setup based on what we need to for the children in the group that we have in that space and the lesson idea that we are trying to deliver. So if you are driving past, you can see the library building above the administrative building. It's where that big rectangle is around. The upper two levels is our library. And there is a direct access staircase on the right-hand side, which if you are allowed back on site at some point, hopefully in the not too distant future, and you need to access the library, that is how you can do so. You can see lots of photos inside there of the library and how much of a beautiful space it is. And we have a very passionate library teacher that is doing lots of wonderful work with our children at school already. So the only thing you would need to know about the library from now until next year is that we would ask that all children come with a library bag, but you do not need to purchase this, as we are going to gift all of our kindergarten children a library bag when they start school with us.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about sport. So sport looks quite different across a primary school. So we're just going to talk about kindergarten sport today. So kindergarten will have a designated sports day. At the moment, that is on Mondays, and I can't see us changing that next year. But obviously, if we do, we will keep you updated on that. So on this day, we will ask that the students come to school wearing their sports uniform. So their polo shirt, their shorts, their sport, obviously their school hat, which they'll have every other day. And on this day will also be their runners. So like Mrs. Dempsey mentioned before, there is no real exact running shoe or sports shoe that we require. These can be any runners. They just essentially need to be comfortable shoes that the students are happy to play and run around in, that aren't going to fall off. You know, obviously we know that we need to wear them in a little bit, so there might be blisters and things at the start, but essentially that they're very comfortable in. So these can be any type or color, and obviously advise that this is some shoes that they can try to get on by themselves. So in kindergarten, Velcro is a great option because they can put them on and take them off all by themselves. In kindergarten, they will explore a lot of fundamental movement skills, so looking at hopping, skipping, running, as well as some modified games. So, you know, beginning to learn the fundamentals of some more popular sports like soccer or basketball and things like that. But there is a large focus on developing their communication, their cooperative play, their teamwork skills, and also a deep focus on developing healthy and active habits. That's the real end goal of where we're at kindergarten, is we want them to love just going out and enjoying themselves, you know, not necessarily about being competitive, but working together to solve problems, communicating, and really enjoying being outside and having an active lifestyle. Next we have our playgrounds. So you can see here in a normal day, so obviously we talked about the amended arrival time for kindergarten, but in a normal day, our playground in the morning will open from 8:40 a.m. And that's when supervision is there and our gates will be open. So prior to that, there is minimal, there's no supervision. Teachers will be, in their classroom setting up for the day. And obviously, if we see students, we will, advise them to sit down and wait, but it's not a playing time or anything. And there's no official teachers on duty at that time. Our first break of the day is our lunch break. So that will be at 11:10 and we'll have 10 minutes of eating time. So we know that our little people take quite a long time to eat. So this is just our regular time, but be assured our teachers will give more than 10 minutes and they'll work across the year to get that down into 10 minutes. And then after they have their time to eat their food, so in that time, they'll all get their lunch out, they'll find a place to sit, whether that's in the classroom or whether that's outside, wherever the learning hubs decide to have their eating time. The teachers will do their best to monitor, supervise, to ensure students are eating their food and encourage them to obviously eat, and so they're not hungry. Then they will go out into the playground for a half an hour playtime. Our second break is our recess break. And again, they'll have some eating time. Generally for our recess break, it's a smaller snack. So you can see here the eating time is only 5 minutes normally. Again, they'll have more time at the beginning of the year and we'll work towards that 5-minute mark. And then they'll have their half an hour playing time. Down the bottom here, you can see there's some pictures of, these are some of the most common items we find lying around in the playground. As a teacher, what saddens us the most is when we find these and they have no name on it. So I know we've said earlier about labeling belongings, but please make sure these ones are labeled, because jumpers and hats are very expensive, and the amount that we find lying around in the playground, and even in our first weeks, I found numerous hats with no names on them. So if they're labeled, they will boomerang themselves back and you'll get them back. It might take a couple of days, but they will get there. When they're not labeled, like Mrs. Dempsey said earlier, it'll go into our lost property and we run the risk of somebody else possibly picking that up, thinking it's theirs. And also lunch boxes and drink bottles as well. You can see this is just a kind of a generalized map of our playground from a bird's eye view. So you can see there's lots of highlighted areas and those little vests. So those little vests represent our teachers. So our teachers will be out there on the playground in their high-vis vests, there to supervise, to help, assist. They carry a general first aid kit. So any small cuts on things, they will attend to them. If obviously there's a bigger accident, they'll go to our sick bay, and we'll have a first aid officer have a look at them. And if it's a serious injury or a head knock or something, you'll get a call from our front office. But you can see that in these play areas, there is teachers supervising. We know especially the first few weeks of kindergarten, we might have designated areas for our kindergarten students to play, just so they're not getting lost and things around the school before that takes them a while to learn where everything is. But we do have, and you'll see in our next pictures, some really large open spaces. Unfortunately, these pictures were taken in winter, so our residual trees have no leaves, but trust me, they're all booming now. So from the outside, you can see lots of tall buildings, but on the inside, there is these beautiful, large green open spaces. And much to, the picture's dismay, there is actually trees out there creating some shade. And there's lots of little seating areas as well. So if students don't want to run around or play, there is places for them to sit and play quietly. And we will have obviously some extracurricular clubs as the year goes on, but maybe not for our kindergarten students straight off the bat, because they're doing lots of new learning, lots of new routines. So like you can see again, there's some little seating areas. There is a water bottle station as well. And there will be other activities out on the playground as well to keep them entertained. But, as they learn through sport, lots of new games and skills, they'll start to do lots of imaginary play and their own sporting games with their friends and whatnot as well. The next thing I want to chat about is Link Ed Hero. So I know in a lot of the preschool daycare settings, you are connected to what is happening in the classroom. And just like that, we will also have something that will enable you to not just be connected in what's happening in the classroom, to be a viewer, but also to be a participant, to work with our students on their learning goals, and to be our partner in that learning. Because that is our end goal, is that we're both here to teach and grow with our students at the same time. So Link Ed Hero will allow you to see what's happening in the classroom, to see not just the learning, but some of the other, other fun things that also happen in the classroom, but also to stay connected to their learning goals, and also with their classroom teachers. Now, at the moment, this isn't up and running. This is something that we're going to introduce next year in 2022. So we don't have information on how you can become connected just yet. This will be given out to you next year when school's resumed. So, it won't be ready on day one, unfortunately. It will be once we know what classes they're in and they're settled with their teachers, we'll be able to get you set up on that. But please, if you do have any concerns, that you'd like to talk to the teachers about, the best way is to email the school or call the school and leave a message for the teacher, and then they'll be able to call you back. Sometimes even better, writing a note to the teacher, and they will call you at the end of the day or the next day, when they obviously aren't in the classroom with the students.
Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about communication. So at Denham Court Public School, there are a variety of ways that we make sure that we keep you up to date with things that are happening. The first thing that Ashlyn's already spoken about is calling or emailing the school. So on the screen, you can see our school phone number. That is manned in office hours from 8:30 till 3:30 or 8:30 till 3:30. And you can call, and the lovely office staff there will definitely take a message and have the teacher call you back at a time when they're available. Also, you can email the school, and again, the office staff are really great at passing on those emails and making sure that teachers get them so that they can answer any queries or questions that you may have about your child and their learning or their social development. We also have special updates, as in newsletters, and they are sent through, you can see at the bottom of the screen there, they are sent through an app called School Loop. So if you go to the School Loop app, which is very easy to download, you just go to your app store, and you can even do it right now. Go to your app store on your phone, Google School Loop, spelled with S-K-O-O-L, School Loop. And then once you've downloaded School Loop, look for that little infinity symbol that you can see at the bottom of the screen. And then once you've downloaded the app, you select Denham Court Public School, and any notices or notes or special messages or newsletters are all sent through School Loop app. So it's really important. That's our main form of communication. The second most important form of communication then for receiving all of these messages is our school website. So in the middle of the screen there, you can see Denham Court School website. We also have our school Facebook page. So please follow us on our school Facebook page. And within the school Facebook page, you will see that there is a Kindergarten 2022 closed invitation page, closed group page. So all you have to do is apply to be part of that, to join that group, answer a couple of quick questions, which is really just to check that you are indeed a parent of this group. And you need to have your child's name put forward to us so that we can double check it, because we really want it to be just a special group for the parents of the Kindergarten Students 2022. We also have groups like that for each of our learning hubs through School Loop. So once you get onto School Loop and your child's put into a learning hub next year, you just need to join that group, and there's weekly updates that are sent through School Loop to keep you up to date with what's happening in the classrooms. So very easy to get in contact. And as Ashlyn said, once our beautiful Link Ed Hero application is up and running, then we look forward to building that great partnership with your contributions, our contributions in this very student-centered application, making sure that the students are the ones leading us through all of their sharing of their learning.
Okay, just finally around orientation, we just wanted to just reform or rediscuss the fact that we've sent out an email to all of our families that have completed enrolment forms to let you know about the following 2 orientation sessions. So this week we've held our first one via Zoom, and we have had so many children participate. We are so thankful for your support and help for those little people to help them get on there. We know that wasn't an easy thing for them to do, and also probably not an easy thing for all of our families to do. So thank you so much for your support in that first week. We continued with our online for the first week because the notice we had for the change in the guidelines came quite late, and we didn't want to, I guess, throw out a change in routine and that impact on all of your own family commitments. So you should have received an email in the last couple of days that tells you that from next week, your child will be able to come onto the school grounds for orientation for the next 2 weeks in a row. So next week and the week after. If you haven't received this email, please double check your junk mail, because sometimes things randomly go into there, and then you can contact the school and just let us know and we can resend it. We have used the email addresses that were given on our orientation forms or used in the booking system when you booked in for your online orientation form. So if you have not got it and you also provided a partner or another person in your household's email address, please do check their email as well, as we are not only using, we're not using both emails that are provided in your enrolment form, just one, so that we are sending communication to one person in the household. When they come in on site on that day, as outlined in the email, they can be accompanied with one fully vaccinated adult onto the school grounds. We'll need you to check in and show your proof of your vaccination before you enter the school grounds, and wear a mask while you are on school grounds for the entire time that your children are in orientation. And the children can come along in their normal clothes. They do not have to wear uniform. If you have uniform and you would like them to wear that, that is okay. But just generally, they can just come in their normal clothes. Again, just closed in shoes so that they are comfortable and safe. We don't want anyone to, be kicking toes or hurting themselves in their beautiful party shoes or anything like that. So wearing closed in shoes and comfortable clothing so that they can participate in the activities that are planned. During that time while orientation is happening, our families will stay outside of one of our areas near the administrative building, and our office ladies will be coming and finalising your enrolment, as we talked about earlier, where they'll collect all of your paperwork and copy whatever needs to be copied and cite any originals. So if you have any medical plans, asthma, allergy, please bring those along. If you see any speech therapists, occupational therapists, pediatricians, any of those kind of specialists, and you have reports, please bring them along as well, as we'll photocopy those and ensure then that the children's class teacher can read them and be well informed around what the children are coming to the school with, potentially needing some additional support in or around. So orientation is happening on site. We're very excited to actually see your children on site, not just via a screen, and also welcome our families on too. So if you haven't received that email, again, just double check your junk mail or any other email address that was provided in your enrolment form. And if you do not have it, just email the school email and let us know that so we can follow up. So that's it from us for tonight. We've gone through a lot of information. This is being recorded, so we will have a link if you feel like you need to rewatch it so that you can absorb that information again, because it has been a wealth of information. Don't stress though, we do have an information book that we have prepared that we will give to you also when you come along for kindy orientation. I should mention that for some families, I know you have work commitments and other things like childcare and so forth. If you are not able to make orientation, that is okay. It is just something that schools offer to support the transition to school. So if you're unable to make it, or your children are unable to make it due to your family commitments, that is okay. We will still support them on their very first days when they come to school anyway. Mrs. Butler, did you have any closing comments at all?
I just wanted to say a big thank you to the team this evening, to Mrs. Dempsey and Miss Krillage for their leadership throughout all of the process of transition, but also toiling away in the background tonight. We have all of the kindergarten teachers answering your questions as they come up. So thank you very much to the whole team for making this such an informative process. And thank you very much to all the parents out there who are listening, and who might be listening either at the recorded version or the live version. Thank you for wanting to be partners in this with us, because we're all here for the kids together. So we look forward to enjoying a long 6-year partnership with all of you as your kids go through as our first whole kindergarten group, going from beginning to end of their schooling at our school. So it's a very, very special group for us, and we are happy to be partners with you in their journey. So thank you very much to everyone. Hopefully you've had your questions answered. If not, the team is going to stay on for a little while and answer some of the questions that might be coming up. And hopefully then you'll have your answers. So thank you very much to everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Dempsey, Ms. Prillich again, and we look forward to seeing you at Transition next week.